Welcome back to the BizApps Classroom. I'm Jason Gumbert from MSDynamicsWorld.com. This is a series all about training and learning, and it's produced as a partnership between 365.training and MSDynamicsWorld.com. On this episode, my co-host Julie Yak and I are talking to Malin Martnes. She's a Microsoft MVP and an independent consultant and has been immersing herself in the world of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Customer Insights Data, a product that she says has a lot of potential for customers, but that is not very well known still. Malin tells us about her efforts to document the Customer Insights Data Specialist exam on her blog, that's MB-260, who might be a good candidate to take this exam, and what it takes to encourage organizations to invest in the product. She offers suggestions on how to organize your efforts toward preparing for the exam, why correct answers on Microsoft exams don't always seem logical, and some good entry points for this particular certification.
Jason.
Hey, Julie.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well. How about you?
Going well. Back from MVP Summit, all refreshed and ready to get back to work. And speaking of MVP Summit, I just saw our guests at MVP Summit last week.
Yay!
Who are we talking about here?
We are talking about Malin. We've got Malin here joining us. How are you, Malin?
I am good, thank you. And yes, it was a good last week at Summit. It was my first time.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I've been an MVP since 2019, but I was scheduled to go in 2020 and then something happened, so I couldn't go.
Something threw you off, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what that could have been.
Something shady.
But we all made it to the other side of that.
Yes.
Well, we invited you here to talk about at least one of the Microsoft certifications. Feel free to talk about whichever ones you want. But I have recently seen you do some content on your blog around MB-260.
Yes, I have. Because I first started with the MB-220 on marketing, when it was still called marketing. But when everything happened with the marketing not using outbound anymore, the certification was still containing outbound. And I thought, well, I don't want to do all of that. So I paused that blog series and was like, okay, I don't know what to do. And time went by, and then I got some customers starting to ask about Customer Insights Data. So I thought, maybe that's something I should take a look at. And I thought, well, what better way to learn than to write a blog series about the certification?
And the history of the products is that Customer Insights Data used to be what was when there was a marketing, then there was a Customer Insights.
Yes.
And that what was Customer Insights is now Customer Insights Data, and what was marketing is now Customer Insights Journeys.
Yes.
Okay.
Horrible names.
Yes.
Yes.
So before we jump into the certification part of the conversation, tell us, what is Customer Insights Data from a practical perspective? What do you do with it?
You try to get an overview over your data. So I did a presentation at the Scottish user group called Help, My Customer Wants Customer Insights Data, but I Know Nothing About It. And I asked Copilot, what is Customer Insights Data? And you get the usual fluff and blah, the big words and everything. And then I asked Copilot to explain it to me like I'm 10 years old. And it just, a lot of people in the audience came back to me and like, okay, so I've seen the first, like the yada yada things. I've seen that before, and it doesn't, it tells me nothing. But the for 10 years old, that made sense. But that's like, it's a tool that helps you know your customers better. Like, okay, so how? Well, you can gather information about your customers, where they come from, what they do, what they like, what their names, what they don't like, and everything. And then you bundle and mash all that information together, And then you add some more sources, and sources from every type of system you have and external systems. And then you basically use that information to make good decisions about your customers based on data or customers alike them. So basically, make your customers happy and tailor information you send to them even better.
So this works hand in hand with old school marketing.
Yes, that
And
is it can make marketing even better with telling you. So here are some segments that customers that have other customers have bought this from you, and this customer is similar to these customers, so you should sell this thing to them. So it's very good. It can
is it a customer data platform?
yes,
Okay.
it is.
When you've heard from clients, like you said, that they are interested in learning more about it or using it, are they coming at it from that perspective that they know about customer data platforms and they want to take advantage of what Customer Insights Data offers in that regard? Or are they looking at it from a different perspective?
Most of what have come so far is okay, so we have this in our licenses already. I have no idea what it is or what it can do. Can it help us? Is it any use for us?
Mm,
Because it's now included in the licensing with what formerly was marketing. So you get both of those tools together.
right. And it's
Yeah.
almost, the combined offer is almost, if I remember, it's only slightly more expensive than you used to pay for just marketing alone. So it's
Yeah,
almost
and
very comparable, right?
yeah, and then you had one environment for marketing. So actually, if you have multiple environments for marketing, the new licensing model is cheaper.
Mm, interesting.
So you get 4 environments and you get both of the customer insight tools. So it just makes a lot of sense. And then when customers are like, okay, so we have this already, we don't know what it is, we don't know what we can do with it. Can we use it at all? We don't even know where to start. We I've read the fluff on the Microsoft pages, and I've seen the fancy videos, but that doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
Exactly. I
Yeah,
love the way that you approached the question with Copilot. My go to is to ask Copilot to help me explain it to my mother in law
yeah, exactly.
because different than a 10-year-old, she kind of has world experience, but
Yep.
she's retired. She never worked in technology, but how do we explain these concepts?
Yeah, and it's hard, and it's like if you can explain it to well a 10-year-old or a 70-year-old, then you're making sense, and everyone in between will understand it what it
Right.
is. So it's just making it glossy and flashy and big fancy word that helps nobody.
So, certifications. I
Yes.
think that you're similar in your beliefs, like I am, where you have a love hate relationship with them.
Yep.
So, but assuming that our audience came here to learn about the certification around the MB-260,
Yeah.
looking at those fluffy words on the Microsoft certification page, the candidate for this certification, you implement this and you do that. Let's talk about real world terms. What does the person who's seeking this certificate, this certification, what does their day to day look like? What are they doing?
Yeah, that's that I've been wondering about the same thing, because this is a huge certification. Like when I started planning for this and I looked through what's in the certification, I was like, okay, so I'm done. If I do 2 blog posts a week, I'm done in 2 years. Okay, so then that's not going to work. Then I could just go back and continue with the old one, and yeah. So it's huge because you need to understand Dataverse, and you kind of need to understand a bit about all the other, like the Dynamics 365 environments, but then also Power Platform and some data modeling and Power Query with asking, like filtering your data and getting everything in. But in addition to that, you also have all the Azure. So machine learning and Synapse Analytics and Data Factory. It's huge. It's a massive exam to go through. So it's I think this is a certification mostly for consultants.
Okay.
Yeah. For a lot of other exams, I would say that, like for the Customer Insight Journeys exam, you can be a user and go through that. For data, it's so big and there are so many steps and there's so much you need to do that I don't think it's fair for a user to go through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So it's a big certification, but if I came up through the CRM path, if I came up through Power Platform, do I have a leg up on being able to understand some more things?
Yes, I would think so because it's natively integrated with Dataverse. Like it's a simple connector, and you understand the tables, you understand the data world. You've worked with Power Query, so you have all of that. You understand the entire platform, and you know what a contact is and how that's connected to an account, and all of that information you have with you, so it makes it a bit easier. But still, it's also it's so big. Like it's getting the configuring measurements and segments and all of that is the fun part, and that's where most customers do most of their work, and the AI predictions and all of that. But it takes quite some time to get the data into a solution. And if you're working with a trial environment, you're gonna have to work quite a lot to get all the data and to unify all the data, and then you can start working on it. So it's I think it's one of the toughest exams I've come across in some time, and I have passed the developer certification for Power Platform, and I've never coded in my life.
All right.
Yeah, so it's not for the faint-hearted. I think it's a really cool exam. I really like it, and I really love the product. Customer Insights Data is, I think there's so much unused potential and unlocked potential for a lot of customers that could do so much cool stuff with it. So I don't think there are enough people who know about this. Um, I hope there will be, because I love
So
it.
if I'm looking at trying to go down this path, are there logical collections of things that I could learn that would help prepare me?
Yes, there is a module in Learn about I think it's called Customer Insights Data Specialty.
Okay.
So
We'll
self,
find that and put that in our show notes.
yep. And as all the Learn modules, there's a lot of them. A
Yes.
lot. Yeah, there is hours upon hours upon hours of content. And of course, you have my blog, which has been dormant during MVP Summit because my brain couldn't cope with blogging.
So we've got the breakdown. And I don't know, for those who may not have taken exams before, Microsoft breaks it down into these functional groups of knowledge and skills. And so for this particular one, we say that you need to understand data solutions, and that's about 5 to 10% of
Yep.
the certification. The ingesting data is 10 to 15%. That includes things like Power Query. Data unification is 30%.
Yep.
AI predictions is 5 to 10. Measures and segments is another 10. And third-party connectors is another 10 to 15. That
Yep.
does sound like a lot.
Yes, it is. And did you say administer customer insights? It's just there's so much and there's so many things in all of them. Like the small 5 to 10% of AI predictions, that's got customer a copilot. Took 15 minutes until I said the word. Um, I apologize. But prediction models and machine learning models and what a lot of people think like that's the cool stuff, but that's 5 to 10% of it all. And it's actually the getting the data into the system that is the massive part of it all, and that takes a lot of time. And I tried, so I've skipped over a couple of the Azure ones, especially like attached to Azure Data Lake Storage. I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried. And then I was so frustrated that I stopped trying. I skipped it and I was like, I'm going to come back to this because now I'm annoyed.
Well, and it's important to understand that for a certification, you don't have to have a perfect score. It's usually somewhere around 70%.
Yes.
And so you don't have to know everything. You have to know enough.
Yes. And also answer questions the correct way, because the Microsoft exams they're a weird breed. They're You can't always think your most logical way. You have to you
You
have
have
to
to think their way.
yes, you have
Yes.
to think, how would Microsoft want me to do this? Not necessarily how it works in the real world, but how can I with the least effort solve this issue?
Well, and also it's like it's in isolation. So if this insights data can solve a problem, but you also have additional knowledge that there's another way to solve it with a different product or different approach, that works against you because each exam is a silo.
Yeah, exactly. And also I met a former colleague of mine who had been working with a customer who was on premise for a long time. Like he'd been there for 5 years straight. And he came out and he was going to take the Power Platform Functional Consultant, the PL200, and he failed. And he was like, I know too much.
It's a hard exam. It covers
Yeah,
so many things.
yeah.
So, what's a good entry point? I know that this is overwhelming, and anyone listening to this is going to be like, ugh, I can't do that. But it is attainable. People do make it happen. What
Yeah.
is a good entry point?
A good entry point is going through creating a trial. I would say create a trial of customer insights data and start looking at what you can do, and then go through all the bullet points of what the certification is and see, how do I do this? So, how do I select customer insight tables and attributes for unification? Okay, first you need to know what it is. Learn can help you with that, but then go into the system and actually do what they're asking. So, if they're asking for duplication, then you should go in and work with duplication and click through it and see how it works. Because if you know something in the system that will stick more in your mind than just reading about how you do it. So using using the system is the best way of passing any certification.
Yes, and with this one, it's tough to do it with the trials because
Yeah.
it performs best with loads and loads of data.
Yes.
And that's difficult to do in a trial environment. It's difficult for some small and medium-sized businesses.
Yes, it is. On the good side, uh, creating the customer profiles through data unification is 30 to 35%. So if you have to constantly create new trials and put in all the data, then you're going to get really good at what is 30 to 35%.
That's a very good point. Repetition.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay.
So that
So, any other insights on insights for us?
I well, I think that there are not a lot of consultants who are really good at customer insights data. There are not a lot of people blogging about it. Uh, so far, what I've found is more or less me and Pauline Kolde. Sorry if I butchered her name. That's about what I found. So there's a huge market out there for people who want to work with CI data and who wants to blog about it and wants to get their name out there and maybe join the community. And if someone out there loves customer insights data and thinks it's awesome, then please blog about it. Contact me and I'll help you start, because it is great. And I think it's just gonna grow a lot in the future, like customer insight journeys have been. It's exploded, especially here in Norway. There is a lot of customers who have started using it. And now that they also have it in data in their licenses, then it makes sense that they can use that as well. And it's a big market out there, and not a lot of people have attacked the data platform in customer insights data, not Power BI.
Yes, I agree. So, I realized we did things kind of backwards because I assumed that everyone knows who you are, and there's a possibility that people don't. So,
Yes.
can we end with an introduction of Malin?
That's awesome. I didn't think about it either, because, well, we hugged last week, so it's just talking with you. That's always great. Yes, Malin Martnes. I have my own company in Norway. I have been having fun in the consulting world in 10 years. Next week, I've been a consultant. So I've been around for a while. I have a background in marketing, so that's what I was going to do before I became a consultant, and which works well with customer insight journeys, which I also wrote the book on. So there is one book out there on dynamics marketing, and I wrote it. And now that the name changed, there won't be another. So I'm quite happy with that one. I think that's good. But I do most of Power Platform and the CRM apps of Dynamics. I used to do HR, but I've stepped completely away from that. So I'm no longer in the field of HR, but I'm having a lot of fun in customer insights.
Yes, Jason, you've
No,
been
that's
really
fine.
quiet. I know we've been
All I would
monopolizing
just
things.
add is it seems like, Malin, from what you're saying, that there's a bit of a fine art to getting customers interested in customer insights data and encouraging them to use it and introducing it maybe in the right way that they feel like it's accessible to them and something they could actually invest in or justify spending time with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is a lot easier now that it's included in the licensing. So customers have it anyways. And it's just, okay, how how can I help you, dear customer, in using what you already have? So this is not a new sales. This, if of course, if they have customer insight journeys, which a lot of customers have right now, this is not a new sales. This is helping them utilize what they have already paid good money for. So connecting it to the system they already have, unifying all that data. I don't know, well, at least the past 10 years that I've worked with Dynamics, they've talked about that 360-degree view on a customer. Well, this is it.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
think as
all in
much
one
as it's
place.
a
You don't have to
challenge
go
for
shopping
a
for it.
consultant, perhaps
Exactly.
to get their arms around all the different areas of knowledge that they need for the certification, I could just see that all those sort of related areas of the product, and making a customer feel intimidated, especially if it's an SMB customer that maybe is stretching with. Maybe the journeys side of it is much more advanced than that with whatever they've done in the past. So yeah, it seems like a fine art to me to get companies to really get excited about it, that they pick the right capabilities first and really enjoy, see value in them to keep going with it.
Yeah, and I think just getting some more experience and being able to tell the customers what it can help them with, because I don't feel like it's the clearest. Like, what is it? Is it not just Power BI? Well, no. So getting all of that across can also be hard. But I think first consultants need to get on board and actually understanding what it is, reading through the certification, playing with the system, and then we can start onboarding customers, saying, "Hey, you got this amazing tool already. Do you know that this is
Yeah, if they can make if
some of the things
Microsoft
we
can make it
do
easy enough
with
for
it?"
customers to utilize this, it's sort of like it's the kind of thing, to me anyway, that larger enterprises with big marketing departments and a lot of analysts would already be doing, but this makes it more accessible to a smaller team, perhaps.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I did the first 2 days of coming home from Seattle, Tuesday, Wednesday. I had training for a customer who had implemented customer insight journeys by themselves, and then realized we have no idea how to do this. We need help. So it's the implementation of journeys is not hard. It's something anyone can do, but it's using the system, setting it up correctly, and then adding data to all of it and seeing how that can make the system even better, and giving all the information on your customer, because we have a ton of information about our customers. It's just that they're in 7 different systems and spread across the organization, and we have no idea all the
Sure.
information about
So
our
you're
one
still
customer,
blogging
even though we have
as
it.
you sort of over week by week or month by month about the various elements of the certification learning process. Is that going to sort of continue into the future here?
Yes. Yes, I am. I've had a bit of a break. I think I did 20 blog posts in 10 weeks or something like that, and then I was hit with MVP Summit and jet lag and work, because nobody answers my email when I'm gone a week. So, but hopefully from Tuesday again, I'll start blogging on. I try to post a blog on Tuesdays and Fridays. So I will continue with the MB-260 blog series and hopefully finish it before the end of the year.
Before they changed the certification.
Yes, again.
No.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Malin. I really do appreciate both the certification conversation and the candid feedback about the product and the difficulty in
Thanks so much,
being able
Malin.
to understand it all.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us once again in the BizApps Classroom. Thanks also to Malin for being here to talk certifications and D365 Customer Insights Data. As we mentioned, Malin has a range of resources you can check out, from her blog to her company site and her book. Those links are all in the show notes. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can reach us by email as well. Julie@365.training and Jason@msdynamicsworld.com. That's it for this time. We'll see you again soon in the BizApps Classroom.